Okay. All right. How are you all? I know some of you are like, have been through the seeking shift more than a time or two, and some of you are at it the first time. How are you in general? I am going to. Let's see. All right. Don't mind me. Sorry, guys. Okay. Uh, I went through and listened again because I don't remember what all I said like 3, 4, 27 years ago when I made this. And I think there's a few important things. One, a lot of us think we are financially desperate when we are much more emotionally desperate, right? So like assuming you're able to pay your bills, what you have going on right now is emotional desperation if there's something that you're not getting, right? So I think that's important because a lot of times we're like, well, but if only I made more money, right? If I just had more clients. And it's not that I don't want you guys to like have more clients or make more money or any of that. But that's not like, there's a reason you want the money, right? There's a reason you want the clients. There's a thing that would give you, there's a way you would feel on the back end of that. And that's actually what we're after. And you know that you have some baloney around this if you've been saying the same thing for a while, right? There's sometimes where we're like, oh, I need more money. And then we just go make more money. Okay, well, fine. Then you just needed more money and you went and got it, right? Fine. But sometimes it's like this running thing. Or if you find yourself like once a quarter being like, where are all the inquiries, right? Why am I not getting paid, right? If it's like a recurring theme, right? It is not about the money. And that's why we talk about this in this shift. So there's that. And then there's also thinking kind of in terms of like, what is it that you are seeking next, right? What is it that you're going for? What is it that you've been after for a while and aren't getting, right? Like I was just talking about in terms of money, but sometimes this takes other forms, right? I know people there, I've talked with people who are like, for 6 months, they've been telling me they want to get on podcasts, right? Or they have been wanting to update a website for the last year or whatever. When you have the same desire over and over and over, and it's not getting fulfilled, you have a seeking shift problem, right? And your seeking shift problem is probably sending you out to look for external answers. Oh, well, someone else, right? Because we think, especially if you were part of like the I figure this out, I'm super resourceful, I'm one of the smart kids, if you're kind of like that crowd, we think, well, if I'm not getting what it is I want, there must be something I'm missing. And then we look for like the external, right? And some of you have been around long enough. It's not like you're scooping up courses like crazy anymore or something. It won't be that. What you're going to start scooping up is like other people's validation, or you're going to try and scoop up like your partner giving an okay to something, or you're going to try to scoop up like the, oh, we can try to start to scoop up enlightenment. Oh, I just need to like, I just need to feel different. If I was more high vibe, this would happen. What are the Enneagram accounts that I need to follow to understand how to be a better 4? right? Um, like, this is like, that's what it looks like next, right? As soon as you stop trying to do it with the strategy, then you can just try to start doing it with your head, or then you try to start to do it in whatever way next, right? So it changes form, but it's the same problem. Okay. So the places where we look for somebody else to tell us, okay, well, how do I deal with this, right? I mean, yes, like, how do I get through Mercury retrograde without it imploding my business? That's not the thing. I promise. If you are having to look it up, that is not the thing. And I'm not here to say whether or not that is impacting you. That's neither here nor there, quite frankly, right? Your belief that it is, and that you would need to get something outside of you to go fix it or figure it out, is the problem. Okay. So does anyone have something that they are currently seeking, or something that they have been seeking for a while, or a recurring theme that they are getting sick of? Do share. Yes, Diane.
Well, so in doing the exercise, what I realized is I do have a minimum viable income that I need each month just to cover my certain expenses. But what seemed to be more prevalent for me was on the hierarchy of emotional needs. I tend to like to see the validation of my contributions. And I don't know if that, again, the origin probably isn't that important, but since college, I've been volunteering in some capacity in the healthcare field. And that is the thing that I know makes me feel like I'm helping other people and like I'm contributing to society. I have perfectly good personal things that I do to contribute or to get those needs met in my personal life. But in my work life, that is the most important thing for me. And I don't know that I feel like it's really a problem. I think it's actually a good thing, but one of the things I did notice is that scaling is hard for me because I do, I got into this business, after years of being a social worker and then doing some policy around environmental work. I wanted to see the impact I was making on people. Yep. So I chose this profession. And I love my success stories. I love seeing the impact I'm making on people's health. So is that a bad thing? Or is it, a problem for me per se? I am an older person, not ancient, but I'm not going to be
not ancient, no.
Not ancient, but like I don't have a need to be like huge. I don't have a need to have thousands and thousands of followers. So, but I would like to scale from the standpoint of income. And but at the same time, I do still want to feel and know that impact piece. So how do I balance that?
Okay. It's funny because your example was one of the like things that I said in around contribution, right? If your thing that you're trying to get out of your business is contribution, you probably have a hard time going like to the masses because you no longer get the direct feedback of like, is this working? Did this actually help somebody? Did they get the result that we were hoping for? Right. So if you know that that's important for you, then one of the things you're going to have to build in is the opportunity for you to get that kind of feedback before you're going to let yourself know that it's okay to scale. So before you let your strategic head run away with like, can I do this, right? How do I sell this to a group of 50 people or whatever, right? 5 people, I don't care.
Mhm.
You're going to have some kind of feedback that this works. Okay. So for me, I was similar. Like I had worked with people one-on-one, and then people started knocking and they were like, hey, I can't afford you one-on-one, but I want to work with you. And it was like, okay, well, I get the appeal of a group, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Right. So then that was when I did workshops for water. Right. And it was like, I wrote out all of my excuses about why I didn't want to have a group, what I was scared of. And then every single one of them got like a workaround, right? So I don't know if I can get enough people in. Okay, well, do I have enough friends that I could get in? I don't know if people will pay for this. Well, it's $97 to a like reputable charity. Like you're either Scrooge or you're okay with it, right? I don't know what to tell you. Um, it's it's $97 for 4 weeks of sitting with me, right? It was like one thing after another. But what I needed in terms of contribution was I needed to see people. This is part of why you guys won't see me doing a webinar. I can't do a webinar. I have no fucking clue if the people on the other side of the screen are nodding, if they're zoning out, if they're like with me. I have no idea. I can't do it and I won't, right? Because I need to see like, are people with me? Am I making sense? Do I need to dial back? Did I get any nodding? Right. That's partly for my own benefit, like as a provider, and also partly just because, like, is this working? Do I want to show up like this? Right. So, my point being here, if you know that that's really important to you, it's fine. Just know that that's your thing and design your business around it, right? Like, don't have shit about your shit, you guys. If this is the thing that you need, that's great. Like, then go get it, right? Um, what you made an interesting correlation though, where you were talking about like you like this somehow being tied to you making more money. Um, talk more about that, because this is what happens with many of you is you're like, oh, but if I need that thing so that I can make money.
Yeah, so there are a couple different ways that I make money. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a spotlight group program, so it's like an 8-week more intensive program, and then I have a seasonal 4 times a year quickie 5-day reset program, and that's how I make money. The reset program is kind of quick and dirty money. The spotlight program I've run once, and that is kind of my sweet spot. That's where I like to be. And then my one-on-one coaching is pricey, but it's also excellent because I can really tailor things to people. I know I need $200 a month for basics, for covering email systems and Zoom and
Right.
insurance and all that. So I kind of costed out what I would need to do in order to make the money. And, I kind of costed it out according to like, I could have a couple of private coaching clients, or I could have, this many group clients, or I'd have to have this many in my reset programs. What I realize is with my reset programs, it's 5 days. People are invested, but they're not, they don't
Yep.
give me all the feels that I need back. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The group coaching program that's, 8 weeks long is more of that. I get to know people on a deeper level and I get to see some impact. It does make me some money to cover my expenses, but there's a lot of launching involved. And then the private coaching stuff is very haphazard. I can't predict it. People come to me, they don't come to me. And so, like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work as well, just because I just can't really predict who's going to be game for the cost that it is. So, in just looking at this, I know what I emotionally need. I need that contact. I also know kind of what I financially need and the numbers that go with it. And I'm trying to marry those. What it's prompted for me is, should I still run this 5-day seasonal program, or should I try to expand that a little bit, which would give me that deeper access to people, and maybe a little bit more income related to that. I wouldn't make a huge jump in price, but could maybe give me a little bit more of that impact piece, along with the income piece.
Yep. Okay, here's the
So-
thing. $200 a month is little enough that you could like probably sell some shit around your house and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The money is a complete non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like non-factor. So the only part that I'm really interested in is like, which one do you like showing up for? Right. And it's interesting because your head goes to certain places. You were like, I get like some of the feels out of the 8-week thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, but there's a lot of launching. There doesn't have to be. Like, if you like that, but you don't like parts of how you're getting it, then change that. Then change that part. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Don't, you guys, the tendency is to jump too quickly to like, well, here's how. There are a million ways any of you could get the results that you want. A million minimum. Right. And I say that because the quicker you decide, well, I could sell this many at this price and I could do this and this and like doesn't matter. Really does not matter. Is that true? Yeah, but getting too hung up on like, well, I need one person at this and 2 people with that and 5 people with this gets us like too pigeonholed. And then all the shoulds start coming in. Well, I should really email my list about this, and I should really be promoting this, and I should really be asking this person for this referral, and blah, 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 right? And before you know it, you're doing a laundry list of shit you don't really want to do because you decided too quickly how you were going to make, like in this case, $200 a month,
Mm-hmm.
which, like I said, you could get in a lot of ways, right? So my encouragement to you would be to like, what is it that you like showing up for, right? Because you guys, it always comes back down to this, the stuff that you like showing up for, the stuff that you get energy back from, the things that give you something, you're going to do until they work. I know, like, I mean, like Deanna kind of made fun of me when she shared the post, but like, it's true that the best way to do anything is the way you will actually do it. And I don't, and some of you are really good at like pushing through, right? Like, I will make myself do the shitty thing. Okay, just because you can doesn't mean you really should. And that might work once or twice. I know people who have like shoulded themselves into like a formal launch, but you could hear already, like Diane was like, yeah, but like there's a big launch attached to that. How many more times do you think you're going to do that? Not that many. before some piece of you is going to be like, yeah, this thing makes me good money and I really enjoy it, but no, I'm going to get rid of it now because I don't like the way I'm selling it. And I'm sitting here being like, yo, or you could just sell it the way that you like to, right? Which may be like a whole process and you may need to figure that out. And I'm not saying like scrap everything, but find the piece of that thing that you hate the most and get rid of that. And then try something new to replace it, right? This is why we talk about lead goals and lag goals so much. What are you willing to do to get the thing, right? But too quickly deciding how it is you're going to get a result, you guys, restricts all of your choices. And more than anything, taking back your ability to choose is how you're going to build momentum for yourself. Is that deeply unsatisfying, Diane?
No, no,
I wouldn't blame you.
It's pretty much what I expected. It's nice to kind of uncouple my should from the launch because
Yes.
I do not love marketing. I love teaching, don't love marketing.
Look, and here's the thing. Teaching and marketing can be the same. A lot of you guys have like a really like messed up sense of what marketing is. Like marketing does not mean webinar. Marketing does not mean email newsletters. Marketing does not mean social media. It can mean any of those things, but there are a shit ton of ways to market your business. Like business existed, marketing existed before the 2000s, and we didn't use any of that crap then, right? So this is part of why I say like do what it is you're willing to do. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have to get better at it, right? But this is my point, is if it's a thing you enjoy, then you're going to be like, oh, I already really like just building relationships with people. And now what I'm going to get better at is specifically asking for what it is I want, rather than dibble dabbling around like, hey, do you happen to know somebody who wants to work with me? I'm going to just be like, yo, I have this program. Do you happen to know somebody? Right? Or whatever it is. But you guys, you will learn and you will get better strategically at the thing that you are most willing to show up for. There is a 0% chance I will ever be good at webinars because I fucking hate them. It does not matter how much strategy I try. I can know all the logical things to say and do. You are in the right place if, right? And again, here is testimonial from Sally, right? Like I could, but I will never show up for it to be good at it. Right? So what is it that you will show up for long enough that you can actually get good at it? That's the thing. I'm not saying that you guys will never have to learn. Sometimes people hear me and they're like, well, but does that mean that you don't buy courses anymore? Does that mean that you don't like read business books? No, man, it's interesting, right? I'm the Headspace girl. So sometimes when I end up in like a peer group, people will assume that I'm just going to talk Headspace stuff. And then I have had more than one person be like, Jess, you kind of know what you're talking about in business too. And it's like, funny that I kind of grew a business, but I learned that because I was doing stuff that I enjoyed, right? That's how I got better at it. This is like breadcrumb following 101. But how many breadcrumbs are you going to follow if it's for like a bread that you hate? You won't. You're just gonna be like, this is nasty, forget it. And you stop making progress then. And then it just becomes this negative feedback loop, right? Of like, oh, that didn't work. It must be because I suck at it. Well, let me go like revenge learn about this. Well, but I hate this thing. Oh, but I have to do this if I want to make money. Right? And just like round and round we go. Okay. Pumpernickel is the devil.
So Jess, I'm just going to throw it out there that I would pay to see you do an anti-webinar, like a mock webinar where you mock all, like that would be amazing. That would be just throwing it out there.
Just, yes, in my free time for your enjoyment. Let me
Yeah.
whip that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You guys, this is the problem with too quickly deciding like, oh, well, I'm going to get my certainty. I'm going to get my contribution via my money. And the fastest way to get money is this way. Nope. You end up with a warped sense of where your feelings come from. Well, my feelings come from me successfully launching. Ooh, there's a correlation we don't really want. And that was really only like 2 jumps. Okay. Diane, are you good? You okay?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of know, I kind of knew. And it's nice to kind of have permission to not do things like launches and to offer things the way that I feel works for me, which is more that personal invitation or, like not a strong suggestion, but, just offering it to people and
Yeah.
seeing who bites.
Yes.
So yeah, one other thing, it's not a moneymaker, but I do love to do it, is I have this thing called Sunday Dinners with More Better Food, and I do it for free. I just teach online how to make a meal, and then I answer questions, and then we sit down and we eat the meal together, but everyone's on Zoom. And it's been a popular thing, especially during the pandemic. And it gives me feedback, but at the same time, I don't feel like there's money attached to it. I have to do it a certain way. There are things I have to prepare, but I get what I am looking for, which is the enlightenment on the faces of people that are, working with me, and community, and all the feels for me. But I don't have, because the money's not attached, it doesn't feel hard. So yeah. So that's easy for me.
So find the equivalent of that for everything else.
Yeah.
Right? How do you bring that kind of feeling into the rest of the business? Because it's not an option to not make money. You are a business.
Right.
Okay. But how do you do that? And what does it take? So kind of like I was saying about my workshops for water experience, what you might want to do is write out all your excuses.
Yeah.
Right? What are all the reasons why you wouldn't do this? Or what are all your concerns about what could happen, right?
Okay, and then a workaround.
And then a workaround.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. How are the rest of you?
Well, I haven't gone through the whole seeking shift, but this is probably really important because I've been like on a roller coaster for about a year now. So, because since I'm an esthetician, I'm hands-on, I'm service-based, doing facials. I closed, moved spaces, shuffled around. But even before then, I'm like, my main concern is client attraction. So there was still not an income. I was working a second job. I quit that second job thinking, let me just, go head on into here. And then I lost my space. I butted heads with the landlord. So I sold my condo, packed up everything, moved it into storage. I bought an RV and I'm staying in an RV lot. I found a space in another city, but I'm still I hired someone to do Facebook ads for me because marketing, I'm done with it. It's just not my zone of genius. So it's kind of work, but I'm not getting my ideal client. So I am still at a point where I know my numbers. I know I'm left, right, upside down. At a point where I can pay myself and pay the rent. It's been even before the shutdown. It's been like that, and I've been kind of nomadic too, which doesn't help. So basically, client attraction, so I can make an income and pay myself.
So what you're actually lacking is certainty or stability, it sounds like.
Mhm,
Like everything is in flux,
mhm.
right? There is nothing you can count on. You can't count on the business to pay you. You can't count on people coming through the door. You can't, like, there's very little certainty.
Yeah,
Is that true?
pretty much, yes.
Okay. So the big thing is going to be making sure you don't count on your business to give you all of your certainty. If your living situation is already precarious, your work situation is precarious, right? You have a lot of things up in the air. Like part of me wants to ask, how do we land one or two of those things? That is not the business, right? So that you feel like this is something I can count on. Some of you, that's going to be like, the certainty is going to be, think about all the things you can't count on, right? Diane was talking about how she can't count on one-on-one clients. Like it just happens. That was me for a while. I was like, nope, not sure how. That's still me to some extent. Let's get real. Okay. But for some of you, it's going to be things like the certainty of a certain number of inquiries, or the certainty of like your work not doing this thing, right? Jill, I know we've talked about this, right? She's like working a lot, and then like because she's working a lot, she's not putting herself out there, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, right, up and down and up and down, right? So if you can't, there's a danger in putting all of your eggs in one basket. And if you're counting on your business to give you all of one feeling, you will only act from a place of like, this has got to work. This has got to work. And there's no clear decision making that comes from that then, right? How are you doing, Kimberly?
I'm all right. Because I found a space when I moved towns, and I'm thinking, this was not a good decision. It's an expensive place. So, but then I'm, in the quandary of, okay, do I up and move again?
Yeah. You guys, sometimes you're better off figuring out like top one need, top two need, right? And everything else goes for a while. We talked about this. You sound a little like this reminds me of how I talked to Bobby years ago, when it was like, if you just need money, just go get money, right? Some of you, because you have a ton of integrity, or because you have really big goals and dreams for yourself, it feels like settling if you go take a job, or it feels like settling if you go work for somebody else, or it feels like I worked with somebody, they, okay, so I worked with someone who wanted to have like their own practice. I'll leave it general. And they refused to like go work for somebody else because they wanted the autonomy of like being able to do things their way. Right. And I was like, okay, fine. But do you want that, or do you want paid bills more? Right. And the thing is, it sounds like there's a right answer to that, but there isn't always. Like the right answer is not always the right answer for you. Sometimes what you want is the experience of, no, I'm doing things my way. That's fine. Right. But then you have to know that about yourself. You have to know the one thing that you're really going for right now. The one thing you're going for right now is not client attraction, right? You're going for like a settled feeling. And your head has decided, like, if I get enough clients coming in through the door, then I will have that feeling, right? Knowing what your number one priority is right now might mean that you have to get rid of priorities 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can't chase the needs and the big dream all at the same time. It's like, can you be content with the breadcrumbs? I've talked about this before, that, and Kimberly, I'm like veering a little off of your territory here. I'm going on like a Jess soapbox. So don't take this like all like straight pointed at you here. But sometimes we forget that walking a breadcrumb trail is totally viable. Like some of you are reading too much about quantum leaps, okay, and manifesting shit. And you absolutely can. It's all possible. Fine. We can talk about that too. But part of the process of that is sometimes walking breadcrumb trails. And some of you are rather like wandering the forest looking for a teleporter that will take you to the ideal thing that you want, because you have such a clear picture. You're like, I want this and I want that and I want the other thing, and I know exactly what it's like, and I know who I want to serve, and I know what they're like, and that's awesome. But it feels like, oh, I can't accept anything less than that because I know what it is I want. Right. And so to take just one breadcrumb or take 2 breadcrumbs would be settling, would be me putting up with less than what it is I deserve. Man, some of those Instagram memes have screwed people's ability to actually build a business, because they're like, don't settle for less than you deserve. And it's like, or recognize that building a business is a process and you are learning, and take what you can get. Right. But it's all a matter of like, where are you coming at it from? Does it feel like you're settling, or does it feel like I'm taking the next step towards what it is I want? This is why we do the inspiration shift first, you guys, because if it feels like settling, then you're just putting up with what it is you don't want. But if you are like, no, like, this is what I want, this is where I'm heading, this is one step along the way, then you can be okay with that. I need like a whole Instagram account where I'm completely anonymous and take other posts directly from Instagram and bash the heck out of them.
Why anonymity? I'm curious.
I have no interest in that level of no, that is just not something I want to deal with. No, thank you.
Just curious.
Wait, Dana said, I tell artists and biz groups when they're thinking they have to quit their jobs and go full-time to be real artists, that's bullshit. Right. And sometimes the day job gives them mental space because bills are being paid to actually do good art. Right. So actually do good art is the equivalent of like make smart business decisions, right? You guys, attachment to anything will screw your ability to make like a real decision for yourself based on what it is you actually want, right? Kimberly, I'd be curious what would happen if you would write a list of like, what are all the things that are currently giving you some certainty, and what are easy things, like stupid easy things that you could go and either do or get for yourself that would give you more certainty or stability.
Or I don't there, I mean, there's nothing really certain. Like I said, because I just gave up everything and put it in storage, and I'm like, I was living in an RV. I am living in an RV, and I thought I could get this done faster with the whole house turnover, but I didn't. So I'm in Florida. It's November in Florida. The RV lots cater to the snowbirds.
Right.
So I'm bouncing from lot to lot. So I don't even have that stability.
Yeah.
I am doing the DoorDash delivery. Like in the mornings, I'll do that in the mornings, and then I'll come and work my business or work on a client, because the company has gotten me, some clients, but like 1% of them are my client and have her booked. So
when we lack certainty, focus on what it is you can control. So what you can't control is client acquisition. What you can control is how often you put yourself out there in some kind of way, right? The lack of certainty or stability is like, focus again on what is in your power to do something about, right? You can't control client acquisition because they have to decide if they want to walk through the door or not on you. So what can you do? That's the whole, you guys, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing with the seeking shift, is that like, there's all kinds of reasons why we can't, right? Like Diane could not do the 8-week thing because she doesn't like launching. Okay, well then how can you do it in a way that's not shitty, right? Switching our heads from like, here's why these things don't work. Here's why I'm not getting what I want. Here's why blah, 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 blah. You have to know where you're at with this. Sometimes we just need to be seen and heard in that. If you just need somebody to validate for you, yep, that's where you're at. Yes, that sucks. Yes, that is really hard. That might just be what you need right now, and that's fine. But know that things are not actually going to change and get better until your head is like, and here's how I can change that. Here are things I can do. And that's only stuff that's 100% in your control, right? So just like I posted about my kid and her being like, my feet are cold. Cool. Yes, they are. That's really unfortunate. It's really hard to sleep with cold feet. And that's why I didn't give her the out, because I don't want her to think that something is just going to magically swoop in and give her socks because she uttered a complaint, right? And she wasn't being a snot about it. She was just like, my feet are cold. And I was like, okay. But people do this all the day. They're like, I need more clients. I need more of this. I need more opportunities for that. That's probably true. I agree with you. ... Finish the sentence, right? And I think that's the key for a lot of you. And for some of you, it's not going to be as, again, like as obvious as like, oh, I need more clients, right? Okay, that's level one sometimes. Then it might become something like, I need to get rid of my money blocks. I can tell that I still have some bound up trauma. Probably true. You probably do. Okay. When was the last time you Googled a somatic practitioner to help you with that and then actually picked up the phone and made an appointment? Right. And like I said, it takes a certain level of I deserve for this to be better before you will allow yourself to ask, well, how could I fix this? So for some of you, if you're not allowing yourself to explore how you could make a problem better, if you're not allowing yourself to take action on things that you know you could do, it's probably because some piece of you believes either this is just how it is, or I don't deserve to have things be that easy, right? There's some kind of belief there that stops you from you being kind of your own superhero, right? I feel like this is a very somber day. How are you all? Some of you have been around for a while, and it may look completely different than like, but how do I make money? Are there, I go back to my original question. Who has something that they've been trying to get for a while and they aren't getting it? Or a recurring pattern or a recurring thing that ends up on your this quarter I will do this list? That's the kind of thing we should be talking about. Hi, Bobby.
I have something that's been on recurring on my list for quite a while.
Okay. Yes.
And now that I'm pivoting a bit in my business, it feels more important than it has been. And that's building a website, getting a website. And one thing that kind of occurred to me when I re-listened to them was I'm considering doing it myself, having my husband help, or just hiring someone to do it because it just stays on my list. And when I talked to my husband a little bit, he kind of threw out a number of like, you could hire someone for this much. And I had a person kind of in mind. I knew their price point. It is like all of a sudden it felt like I had permission to hire that person because he, a little more expert, has an idea how much this should cost. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't a bad price. So I just thought that was interesting validation I was seeking.
Yes, that's a really good example of what I was just saying, that some of you will like have a thing that you want and like you had options on how you could, like you could have started it whenever, right? Or you could have had your husband help.
2 years ago when I bought
Right?
the URL. Yeah.
Yes, then. Right. You could have, right? Here's all the how could I could just start learning how to do this. I could just play web designer for a day. Sure, why not? But something stopped you from letting yourself explore those options, including hiring somebody. And so as soon as your husband took away the belief that like, oh, this is too much, or even just, I don't know what is a good number, right? Then it was like, oh, this is okay now, right? And now I can move forward with how this could be solved. There's two parts to this. I return to don't have shit about your shit, okay? If you know that you have something. Like you just need somebody to be like, hey, that's actually a great option, or hey, yes, you know what you're talking about, or hey, this is not worth doing yourself. You guys pay attention to the people whose opinions you value. Okay. We can sit here all day and talk about how like don't have people on pedestals and blah 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 and make decisions for, or just know whose opinions you value about what, and then go get what you need and move on. Right. And as you grow, you will need less outside validation, and it'll be great and it's fine. But like until then, if you just need the thing to move forward, then just go get the thing. Right. And so having, in this case, Marcia's husband be like, yep, that's probably a good move, was the permission that she needed. Does it feel good now to like, where are you at with it? Like, have you talked to this person yet? Is it a ball
I
you can
haven't.
get rolling?
Yeah, it could. I haven't talked to them yet. I'm doing some traveling coming up, so I need to get my schedule clear before I engage them. I guess I've thought about what I really need is a calendar accessible. So should I just do a Calendly thing that I can email out to people while I process the website?
Yep.
So I'm still analyzing what I really need next.
The analyzing word always makes me nervous in this crowd.
I do think I want to do it. I can recognize doing it, getting the website will bring me some satisfaction of having it done.
Yes.
So whether or not my business needs it, feels irrelevant.
Yes. So that's also good. And if you know that $10 a month to Acuity or Calendly or whatever is going to like keep the ball moving right now, great. Then that too.
Yeah.
Right. Like that could be set up in an afternoon. And
Right.
then
and
you
that
don't
could be
need,
done now through this
yes,
holiday season, and then we can hash out.
yes. That's a good example of like, well, but the ideal thing would be that I have a very slick website with everything integrated, and then people can pay me, and then I can, and I'm not saying don't go get that. That's cool, right? If that makes you feel more confident about the business and you're more excited to like put things out there, yeah, great, go do that, fine. But don't overlook the breadcrumb that is right in front of you because you have a picture of what the whole kahuna could or should be. And that's a good example of that, right? This is part of the problem with scrolling by so many people's expertise is they're like, no, but you got to do it like this. You got to have this, or like, oh, you're missing sales, man. You are. Like I did this and then I got 50% more sales. And I'm like, true. But you could also just do the simple thing and get the first 5 people like this. Right? Yes, the tried and true process. There's nothing wrong with going for the ideal, you guys, whether we are talking about a website or the house of your dreams or the relationship stuff that you guys have going on, whatever it is, there is nothing wrong with going for the ideal, but don't let that stop you from acknowledging what's right in front of you, because you're going to get to the ideal like 1 foot in front of the other 9 out of 10 times. Not many millionaires were made via the lottery. Very few of them. Right. But a lot of us are like waiting for like those windfall type of experiences, right? Well, now I have like this, I mean, that's sold to us too, right? It's everything you need in a box. Like, here's everything that you need to do that. Horseshit. No, it's not. It's not everything. It can't be. Because you, person who made the thing, have all kinds of beliefs and thoughts and processes and understanding that you aren't even aware of, because that's just how you are. And that didn't make it into your product. And so now if I'm not wired exactly like you, I'm screwed. Okay, so in a box is baloney. You're not going to get the result that you want in one swoop. It's going to be incremental. And you guys, part of, you'll know that you're starting to make these shifts when the incremental progress starts feeling exciting rather than depressing. When you're like, oh shit, that is cool. That I just did that and I wouldn't have been able to do that last year. Ooh, this, I just let myself do that. That's cool, right? Yes. Ellen said this is why 90% of courses in business books are useless for us being beers, right? Books by doers do not help beers. And here's the thing. Part of seeking shift stuff is like just in time learning, right? This idea of like, okay, well now I really do need this one thing, but then you're just going to find that person who can teach you that one thing and you're going to implement it and you'll move on. Right. So like, yeah, I still buy and learn strategic things, but it is like a minuscule portion of my learning and my day and my business. Because it's like only when I've decided, well, here's what comes next. Oh, my emails aren't getting opened. How do I write better subject lines? Okay, then I'm going to go learn from somebody who writes killer subject lines. Great. Done. It's not scroll. Oh my God, my business is going to implode if I never learn how to write killer subject lines. I guess I'll buy that.
So for me, I guess just sitting here thinking my ultimate thing on my list that I am seeking is actually my own place and not to rent a room.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm forsaking everything in front of me for where I want to
Probably.
be.
You said that, not me.
Okay.
No, but that's good, right? Like to have that awareness of like, there's nothing wrong with the stepping stone,
Mhm.
right? How are you all? By all means, don't all speak over one another.
So I'm at an interesting point because I'm at that downhill that you mentioned before, where like, yeah, I had just so much work through the summer and into the fall. And then I had one client who I was really kind of happy to see fall off because it had just gotten to a point where like everything I did, I was doing wrong, even though I was like, here's exactly what you told me to do.
Mhm.
And then I had another client who I just absolutely loved, and they wound up hiring an in-house comms person. And it's like, we'll probably hire you back at some point to do some work, but we need to let this person settle in and figure out what our overall strategy is. And it was like, I handed them the strategy, but fine, whatever. Okay. But because I've been so busy working on these, because I had, I am still in physical therapy like 4 hours a week, and I'm teaching And then I'm doing this client work, and I will have days where I don't start my work day until like 5 p.m. And then I work until 2 a.m. And so when am I going to go out and find other stuff to do? And then a contract ends, which in the run up to that contract ending, it's like I'm trying to get all of the deliverables done that ordinarily I probably would spaced out over like several weeks, but they need to have everything for the handoff. And so right now I've got like a whole lot of work to do, which is nice because I'm sleeping.
Just the little
Kind of.
things.
Although, you know, like last night, my like 11 o'clock, my husband's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to bed. I said, cool. I'm gonna watch Big Mouth on Netflix. And then I fell asleep on the sofa because I'm just so conditioned at this point to like
Yes.
staying up after he goes to bed. But in the midst of all of this, a good friend of mine from grad school who like basically since we finished grad school has been trying to recruit me to work for whatever company it is that he is working for at the time. When he started at his current, the company that he's at like 6 months ago, I get this like, I think I finally got it. Like, I think that I found the place that you belong. It is 100% remote. This is what we're doing. I will let you know if there are any opportunities. And then I get a message from him a couple of weeks ago saying, so I told our VP of marketing about you and he wants to talk to you. Can you send me a resume? Okay. So I've had a couple of conversations with this person. And you know, they're talking to other people. This is not just a done deal, but I'm at this point now where it's like, am I grasping for a job because I don't have enough client work coming in, and this is the like easy, I know that I will have a steady income if I do this thing? Or is this like, I am actually tired of running this thing on my own and not having, you know, it's been almost 4 years, not having the support and the infrastructure and everything else, so that when I have shoulder surgery and it fucks up my schedule, I just have to still get the work done. So yeah, like what I am currently seeking right now, I don't really know, because I'm like stability, but am I seeking it, like, am I going down a path that's not actually something that I want because it feels like it's the safe or the easy option versus like going down that path because it is actually something that seems like a cool opportunity, but is it the right thing for me?
Yeah. Okay. This is the discernment that comes in the inspiration shift, right? Am I being scared out of where it is I am right now into something, or do I actually want that thing? Right. So the first thing is, you guys always be leery of something that interrupted you. Sometimes that's just good fortune, right? But when something that you weren't actively seeking comes out of left field, that's a thing to at least question, right? If you didn't have the thought of like, oh, I might enjoy having a job and not needing to worry about all these things, and just out of nowhere, an opportunity presents itself and now you're considering it, that is worth being skeptical about. This is why it's worth being skeptical about every ad that you scroll by. It's interruption marketing, right? Things that interrupt you, you're only going to react to. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be part of something that you do actually want. Sometimes I'm like, well, actually, yeah, I have been looking for that type of thing. Yes, I do need that, whatever, right? Okay, great. Well, then that's just fortunate. Okay. Let's see, wait, what did Deanna say? Maybe less about the job and not having enough private clients and more about living a more stable lifestyle. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, when you were talking about this, your examples were in the negative, right? You're like, so is this just because I don't have enough clients, or is it because I just like, it was like don't and don't either way. I don't want, am I not going to go with the job because I don't want to be chained to a desk, and I don't want, you know, I don't want to have to show up on their schedule. I don't. So figuring out what it is you do want sometimes only happens by making the mistake of what it is, like of committing to what it is we don't want. Right. Why have you been considering it up until this point?
So it is the kind of position where, like, if I were looking for a full-time job, this would be about perfect for me. It's the opportunity to really build out the consumer comms for a quickly growing startup, and, you know, being able to hire a team and take control of their content and their social and their overall brand, really. Like, I would even have a graphic designer on my team, which would be novel for me. So it's kind of like, if I wanted to do a job, this one is just about perfect. It's just, am I only pursuing it for the stability that it will bring? Where, like, I've been able to support myself since 2017, but I've also been able to support myself because my husband is an attorney and he makes lawyer money, and that's very helpful. And even then, like, it can be tight sometimes when I have a month where I'm making like $1,500 and I get a message from him saying, so we're going to be late on the cable bill this month. Just so you know. So like, a steady income would be really nice. It would be really great. There's also, so Dan and Alan know some of this. I've got some like marriage relational stuff going on that I'm like, if I decide to walk out of my marriage, maybe having a full-time job would be a good thing. I'm still just not entirely sure what it is that I want. Yeah, like, is short-term comfort actually going to be a productive thing for me right now? Or is it really just going to be one more obstacle getting to whatever comes next?
What do you stand to lose if you take the short-term comfort of a full-time job?
I mean, the freedom and flexibility to just kind of say, you know, fuck off, I don't want to work on Friday, so I'm putting an autoresponder on and not working on Friday. Or to be able to take on, you know, additional teaching, or to be able to do 4 hours of physical therapy a week. Like, that's really a lot. It sucks. I hate it, but it's a luxury that I'm able to spend that much time on my self-care every week. So those are all things that I would miss. You know, I when I spoke to the VP of marketing, he was very clear about, this is not going to be like, I'm not expecting you to work 9 to 5. I know that we've all got lives. Like, this is part of the reason we've stayed remote, is because we want to be able to accommodate everybody's life. But I still think it would be hard to be like, so I'm not working on Mondays because that's a day where I teach 3 times. So I miss out on a lot of that sort of thing.
Right. Okay. You made an interesting, a few interesting comments. There's like if I wanted a full-time job, and you that was your precursor, like a few times, if I want, and it's like, okay, well, does that mean you don't? Which I know is like the whole question, right? You guys, sometimes the answer is like, just go find out. Sometimes the answer is like, try it and see. It's not like everything dries up and goes away, right? Is it really true that you wouldn't be able to do PT, right? I don't know, right? Is it really true that, I mean, yeah, you probably couldn't teach as much as you are right now, right? But like, if those are, I'm kind of like I told Diane, like, write out your excuses. If these are the things that stop you from trying or testing a possibility, what do you need to have in place in order for it to be okay to try or test that thing? right? If they were like, if you were like, hey, I want to work 4.5 days a week, is that cool? And they were like, yeah, sure, right? But you're not going to get that if you don't ask,
Right.
right? Same way my kid's not getting socks unless she asks, right? And so you being like, well, I don't get to teach yoga and I don't get to do physical therapy. And it's like, well, maybe, or you could ask, right? And I'm not saying that that's the end all be all solution, but you guys, a lot of you try to get clarity and answers for yourself up here. You're like, I'm going to sit down and have a good think about this, right? And I mean, I love me some thinking, but some of you would just be better off like go and do the thing, and maybe it sucks. Okay, well, at least we know. Your thinking skills are so good because you made a lot of mistakes at some point. The other interesting thing you said is like basically something to the effect of like, am I just entertaining this job because like just because I want some stability? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, stability is kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
like you, and this is again something I see all the time where somebody's like, what, but am I just doing that because I don't want to be broke anymore? Am I just doing that because I don't like marketing? Am I just doing that because I don't know, maybe? Does it matter? Right? If you feel better, if you can move forward with your life by giving yourself some stability, that might be what you need in order to start thinking long term again, right? Like, yes, all of us ideally get to a place where we can think about what is good for us long term, right? Well, yeah, I would not eat Haagen-Dazs then, okay? But some days it just feels really good to sit down with a tub of ice cream that my children are not privy to and to still have something for myself. Thank you very much, right? Or whatever it is. Sometimes you need the soothing of something for now to be able to think long term again. You have to know if what you're needing right now is the emergency room. Nobody would be like, oh, I should really like eat better. You know, I'm not getting enough leafy greens in my diet. And maybe if I just go home and do that for a while, then I don't need to see anybody about this spurting artery. And it's like, no, you got to deal with that. Right. But you can know, is the thing that's going on for you right now so problematic or so distracting? How distracted you are or how unable you are to focus on your long term tells you how much of a short-term problem you have. That's actually rather significant. So I shall repeat myself. If you have a hard time making long-term progress, if you are not reaching some of your bigger, longer-term goals, if you are falling prey to shiny object syndrome, if you are distracted, if you work on 50 million different things, if any of that, it is probably because there's something going on for you short term that you're not dealing with. And if you actually like dealt with that thing, then you could get back to the long term. Right? Obviously, yes, we want to be like self-actualized individuals, but that's at the top of the pyramid for a reason. And if you don't have food and you don't have healthy relationships, then don't worry about your friggin' self-actualization right now. Right? And it's the same in business. It's the same in your relationships. It's like right? Jill, how are you feeling about all this?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out, and this last week too, like how much of this is just, and how much of this is that I want to be doing it, and how much of this is that I'm running from the bear of whatever.
Wait, what bear would you be running from?
I mean, I think that the primary bear is like financial insecurity. That if I decide that I want to continue on my own and keep pursuing the things that I've been doing since 2017, then does that mean that it is always going to be feast or famine? Because that's like, again, I've been very fortunate to have this cushion of my husband's salary. If that goes away for whatever reason, am I going to keep doing the things that I'm doing just because I'm afraid of not like of insolvency?
Yes.
Versus because they're out, like, and not to say that doing things for, like, as you say, like doing things for the money, sometimes do the things for the money, but I've taken jobs for the money before and I've always been so miserable and burned out on it. So I have to kind of think about, like, would I just be repeating that pattern? And then knowing that I'll last in this job for 2 years and then I will like fail catastrophically in this position. Which, you know, like after my last job, it was like, I'm never doing this again. Like I can't do this 2 years and then, you know, butting heads with the CEO or whatever it is that winds up with, like, why keep doing that when I know that I'm good at what I do and I don't need somebody to affirm that for me, and I don't need somebody to tell me how to do my job. You know, this
So
particular. Mhm.
hang on. This is
Yeah.
a really good point though. You kind of like ended up in business for yourself because you had a pattern,
Mhm.
right? And you were like, this pattern is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. So what I need now is to show myself that I don't need to stick with this pattern.
Mhm.
Right. So you struck out on your own. And then you showed yourself, oh, like, look, I don't need to answer to the man.
Right.
Literally, probably middle-aged white man, right? I don't need to do what they say. I can do my own thing. There are people who will pay me for doing what it is I think they should do, right?
Mhm.
Cool. You proved that to yourself.
Yeah.
What you may need to prove to yourself now is that you'll let yourself take good care of yourself financially.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's true, but it
Right.
could be, right? That, like, you guys, what was true, what was self-care for you once, what was once a decision that you made for positive reasons may not always stay that way. Okay. I had a friend who, like, there was a gym, much nicer gym, right? Cost 3 times as much, but it had a better like childcare facility. And she allowed herself to go to that gym. She ditched her YMCA and she's like, this is where I'm going. Right. And that was an upgrade for her. When she allowed herself to do that, that was great. It showed that she was okay with spending more money on herself, that she thought she deserved to have whatever these certain classes I don't know what the hell do gym people do, right? So, but this was an upgrade. 6 months later, she's like, I think I'm gonna go back to my old gym, but does that mean I have money blocks? Does that mean I have money shit? Because like this was my upgrade. I was like, well, why do you want to go back to the other one? She's like, because it's like 5 minutes away from my house instead of like 20. And all my old friends are still at the other gym. And I miss being around people I like. And I was like, okay. So it sounds like going back to the other gym would be an upgrade. Right? You guys, what is right for you is always in the context of right now. Don't carry along too much of your shit from what was right for your decision making years ago. Like maybe you will burn out in a blaze of glory in 2 years, but who gives a flying fuck if that's what you need for right now? you can't worry about that right now. If the right decision for you right now is to take care of yourself by having stable income, right? And again, I think you know this, like I'm speaking hypothetically,
Right.
right? But it's not necessarily a problem to go backwards, you guys. There is no such thing. That's not a thing.
Can I just speak to Jill about the whole single income thing?
Please.
Because I don't have a supporting income. I've never, but I went ahead and I did it anyway. I've spent a lot of unnecessary time and energy worrying, you know, will this get paid? You know, it might be paid late. You know, there might be a late charge. I might have to have ramen. But as far as worrying about being on your own and not having a supporting income, it's not really as bad as you picture it. Things will come. I mean, if you've been making money now and you have a part-time job, but as far as being worried about not, you know, doing it, it's always worse in your head than what actually happened.
Thank you.
Also true.
I've wasted, I mean, I've got a lot extra gray hair and it's like the money's there. It's late, but it's there. So
That's why I said at the beginning of the seeking shift that this whole shift is about trusting your resourcefulness. Right? Like across the board, you guys, because resourcefulness is what you need in order to know that here's how I can do something. That's you calling up on your resources. Right? The places where you don't know what to do, there's often a values conflict. Right? So this, I kind of want this part of this thing, but I also kind of want this part of this thing. And so then the question is like, live in the and, you guys. It's not this or this. It's how can I get the important parts of this and the important parts of this? And that's where you need the how can I. That's why I talked about like adding the layers on in the audios, right? Like, well, okay, I need this. Now, how can I get that with this stipulation? Now, how can I get that with this condition? You just become more and more resourceful the more you practice this. And then that becomes something that you trust about yourself and how you show up, right? I always figure it out. I always know what to do. It always works out somehow, right? It's become things that you know and can lean on yourself. How are you all? Okay. Questions, comments, cares, concerns? Maybe I should get you a onesie that says that, and then I can just hold you up. Questions, comments, cares, concerns. And then the back can say, how's that sit? And the sit can be right on your butt. What do you think? Okay. Next week is engagement shift week. Yes, it's not honesty shift week yet. Fear not. It's just engagement shift week. That's a little like how do we take steps forward even if we're not quite sure what to do, even if we don't have clarity. Okay. Bless you. Let me know how you guys are doing. Can you wave bye? Come to the group, tell us how you're doing. Okay. Have a good week, guys. Say bye-bye.